Hello, students. I've had a few people ask me about concrete language, and this is something that I really want to focus on in poetry because you're going to be using these lessons for fiction and for creative nonfiction as well. So here is a presentation on concrete language. Concrete language is specific. That means using toasted rye bread versus food, where food is the most generic, bread is more specific, and toasted rye bread is something very specific that your reader can see and perhaps smell and taste. So the whole goal here is to transport your reader into experiencing what your speaker is experiencing. You want them to go through those exact same thoughts and emotions and sensations. So let's start with the sentence, she moved into the building. Very generic. We readers don't know who she is. Moved is really generic. The building, very generic. We can't really see anything here. And if we can see something, we are seeing something different. I'm imagining something when I read this different from what you are imagining. So we can change these words from abstract to more concrete. Let's start with she. We change she to the weeping gray-haired woman. We add a little more detail. The weeping gray-haired woman clad in black moved into the building. Now we have what's starting to be a narrative. A weeping gray-haired woman clad in black might give your reader an idea of an event taking place. Now we change the building into the morgue, and all of a sudden we have a much more clear narrative taking place potentially. This is an example of a detail. We give our morgue, we make it yellow. It doesn't really fit with everything else that's happening. So here is a surprising detail. Why would a morgue be painted yellow? Why might you, as a poet, decide to make this morgue painted yellow? You're going to shock your reader with a detail like that. If instead we make it whitewashed, so we remove all color from it, then we have a much more dismal scene. We can appeal to more senses. Weeping gray-haired woman clad in black moved into the whitewashed morgue, breathing the bitter scent of formaldehyde and bleach. Flew into the whitewashed morgue, breathing the bitter scent of formaldehyde and bleach. So now she's rushing, right? She flew into the whitewashed morgue. Interesting. Why would she be rushing in this situation? We could also make her skip. She skipped into the whitewashed morgue. This, again, like the color yellow for the morgue, skipped doesn't really fit with the rest of the details here. If she's weeping, she's clad in black, so we can imagine that she's mourning. She's going into this morgue. The smell is bitter. We have poisonous scents. Why is she skipping in this case? We have ran. This is like flew, but a little less vivid. Stumbled. So now we have a faltering movement that may fit with this situation a little bit better. So here's another example. They were happy. We can change this to a comparison. They were as happy as blank. And here's another situation where if you asked a bunch of people on the street to complete this phrase, I think as happy as a clam is a common one. There's one involving a pig that is impolite, and I won't use it here. But there are a few standard cliched or overused phrases, but we can make it something interesting instead. As happy as a child on the first day of summer. This is pretty happy, or we can imagine that it would be pretty happy. And, that also throws an image and sensation into our reader's mind. Has the idea of freedom. Basically, when you're using concrete language, the more specific you are, the more control you have over what the reader can see, smell, touch, taste, and hear. And that means that you are going to have more control over their emotions and make them more involved in what you've written.